Good night, good day, good morning, whichever one it is for you folks. This is podcast 18 and a half, and as you can tell, we're a little bit sober today. And apparently, from last episode, podcast 18, Federal Lost, it was a bunch of bitter bitches on the phone. They are heartbroken, and folks felt that, as one fan said, it was a little bit hard podcast, being a Nole fan. And it's not right, and subsequent news reports and recordings is someone they're not giving Nole any love. And
Hey,
unfortunately, well, the podcast isn't about giving Nole love, but it's
I know,
about
'cause we can't get on that bandwagon either. Oof. Everybody else is already
actually
worried
no,
about
no, no.
that.
It's about, I mean, like, there were other things going on at Wimbledon from week two than just the two finals. And, we
Mhm.
should sort of address those things. We didn't even mention mixed doubles or the men doubles. I mean, like, and then we got all on the ladies double trade. So, tonight is about to address some of those issues and those performances and, get to a little bit of talk. I think there's some of the stuff. I don't know. Anyway, let's get to it. So, I think the first thing we should talk about because we made such a big hype about it in
It's to
podcast number.
introduce
Oh,
ourselves.
it's true. I don't understand. I think it's because we talk so much during the week. Like, it's like I feel like it's another hanging out session.
I
So
know.
anyway, so let's
We
go and I'm gonna start the opposite way this time around. We're gonna
go
start
for
with
it.
the luscious Bridge P,
Oh God, here.
Karen.
Hello. Hi, good night.
She's from the Spin podcast, and in the middle we have Janina.
Hello.
Apparently, you're a wicked witch of the West, Janina. Just
Yes.
so you know.
Give me my slippers.
And Andreen from Solely Tennis Channel Travel. I don't know where I get a channel from. It's just like
Yeah, I
maybe
like the
after
upgrade. I
I'll
like the
say
upgrade.
okay, channel it is.
Alright,
So, ladies, I know this is we made such a big deal about this on podcast number 17, and I think we should probably talk about it. Is the actual Madness Monday? In fact, we had Venus versus Serena. And we sort of like didn't even say anything about that really. Um, I don't know if we were still on a bit of bitch train with that because I know a lot of us felt disappointed with the results. Um, who
I
wants to
wasn't
start us?
disappointed with the results. I mean, if you open up your eyes and set your heart aside a little bit, you knew what was really going to happen.
Something Andreen can't do.
Who's accusing me of that? I'm saying in a podcast, you want to hope and pray that someone will bring something interesting to the table. And, if we're going to sit around and just do what the numbers say, then, there's no conversation. Serena's going to beat everyone. There you go. What are we going to talk about next? I mean, we got to hope for something different.
Well, I can tell you honestly that I really thought that from Venus' performance in the first three rounds, I thought you would at least get a set that would come out on fire because Serena has a slow start. It is notorious. Serena, like she fall asleep in the first set and be like, what am I doing here? Like, what the fuck? I'm done a set and a break. No shit, no. We need to get our shit together. 10 straight games. So I thought, maybe she would, let Venus slide, and maybe Venus could, umph it up, I thought she had a shot. I didn't think she had a, like a big, huge shot, but she had a little bullet. She probably could have done something, but, for me, Venus turned into the Venus of 2002 in three full straight Grand Slam final, just let Serena walk all over her, basically. I don't know if she was thinking, I don't know, maybe she wasn't feeling it. And she is 35. She was the oldest woman in the draw. And, so
I'm a big Venus fan.
we
I
know
love
you are. She's the number one.
I love Venus to death. We're gonna get married. We're gonna get
So
married.
you're not drunk tonight, you're delusional. Okay.
I'm one of those Venus fans who is depressingly logical about her chances in the Grand Slams, taking her health I look at her health. I look at the fact that, you have younger, more fleet-of-foot players. I look at the fact that she's older, and as a result, her game is not as consistent as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Can't stay out there for hours and hours and trade
Mm-hmm.
long ass rallies with, these younger players and everything. And so when I watch a Venus match now, I watch a Venus match because I'm glad she's still out there competing. I'm glad that she has her moments of brilliance. When the draw came out, I was very disappointed that she was slated to face Serena in the round of 16, because my thinking was that if she was playing well enough to get to the round of 16, then good God, she
She
could probably go one step further.
probably to the finals too.
At no point, and this is where the logical part of me as a Venus fan comes in. The logical part of me that thought to myself, there's no way in God's green earth that Serena is going to throw her sister a bone and say, okay, Venus is playing well. She might have a shot. That was not going to happen, not at this Wimbledon. And so the outcome for me was a foregone conclusion. You know,
Okay.
that's just how I looked at it.
Andreen, I know you had some particular take on the match, and we can talk about the other round of 16 for the women first, and then some of the men. What did you think, Andreen?
Well, I mean, look, I just assumed on some level that having played Serena as many times as Venus has played Serena, that that much like we expect Sharapova to show up and do something different, I expected Venus to show up and do something different in that match. But I really did. I thought that she would. But then listen. Hindsight is 2020. I suddenly realized that I didn't think that Venus would come into that match thinking I'm going to derail my sister's run into history. I just, I would have thought that she would have maybe assumed that she might not get to the fourth round of Wimbledon again. And this was a good opportunity to give it a real tussle. Maybe she wasn't going to win, but a real tussle. I mean, Heather Watson gave Serena more challenge than Venus Williams on grass. If there's ever any moment where you think to yourself that Venus might be able to, sort of marshal up a little bit of enthusiasm, but there was a sense of inevitability to the match from the first game. So that was disappointing. I wasn't disappointed in the fact that Venus lost. It was probably going to be magical for her to win, but I was disappointed by her approach, and I was disappointed by the way that she conducted herself in the match. I didn't think that she tried anything different. I thought it was more like a hitting practice. That was my sense of that match, and for all the reasons that we said, which is that Venus had been playing well up to that point.
Right, I agree. I didn't think Serena was going to lose. I just thought Venus should have conducted herself better. Venus.
Held serve before losing it. What, the first? Didn't she lose her serve in the first game?
She did.
She got broken out. I think she got broken at love. I think Serena was that kind of little.
Yeah.
I continue to be amazed at the delusion I'm with my fellow co-hosts.
No. Karen, hold up.
Hold serve. Hold your serve. You've been serving like bombs forever.
Exactly.
And you come at the first game because Serena was sloppy on some of the returns. She had some shots. She didn't do it at love. She fought for it. But there were she didn't go down love. She didn't lose her serve at love. No, there was a little bit of a tussle. So she had some opportunities, but those were errors. Those were Venus errors. Yeah,
she brought back.
I don't know because the way in which she played in the first 3 rounds, it was far more attacking.
Yeah,
it was far more. It was cleaner.
Look at the opponents that she had in the first 3 rounds.
Okay, no, wait.
She had Madison Brangle in the first round.
I understand all of that, but what I am simply saying is that the other girl across the net in all those 3 rounds, they legitimately thought They once played. They didn't play Venus like Venus is five-time Wimbledon
Yeah,
champion.
they played her like they
They,
thought
they-
they could be.
exactly. They thought like I'm going to get a win over the Venus Williams. None of those goals came in. Every one of those goals was shell shocked. Every single one, because they were like, "This is not
I
the
thought
Venus
this one
Williams
was
like
old.
told me about." I thought she was old. I thought her serve wasn't working. She's acing my ass out here. She is winning second serve points. Sometimes, I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes Venus, the messy Venus, you know, was throwing. I'm just like Venus, stop. Just throw the serve over with your hand. Just throw it over there.
I should
But,
remind you guys
but
that Venus got taken to a tie break. Had to battle Yulia
right,
Putintseva.
that is true.
Yulia
But,
Putintseva
but
who gets to Venus's waist at the net.
uh, Sarah Irani bagel
And
Venus.
Alexander
Okay,
Krunic, who is at Venus's hip. But tell me again,
I tell you.
battle she should have put up against Serena.
I love the throwing Venus under the bus that's happening in this conversation.
Look. Venus got bageled by Sarah Irani. Okay? And I'm just saying, that was not the Venus I saw in the first three rounds. What I saw in the first three rounds was the Venus Williams who won 5 Wimbledon championships. That's who I saw in the first three rounds. And I didn't expect that Venus would beat Serena in the round of 16. I just expected her to make it look like it was an effort. You know, like she gave a shit. Like, everybody like me was out there. I had to put her on mute. I just couldn't hear the commentators tell me that Venus was fucking up as I'm watching it. I couldn't.
I'm sorry. You know what? I'm not even.
And I love Venus, but you know what?
This conversation anymore because
I understand, Karen. Karen, again. I understand.
that I'm listening to right now.
Okay.
This is the height. I mean, seriously,
It has nothing to do with winning. We're not talking about winning. We're talking about how you conduct yourself in the middle of a match where you
Get a
believe.
set.
Yeah, not a set. Not a set. I'm not a set. No,
What exactly were you
to a
expecting?
set?
I think what it all comes down to is we think Venus just didn't play Serena as hard as she played the other girls. Bottom line.
I'm just saying.
But
I'm just
however,
Allowed to.
Wait. I'm just simply saying.
no, I don't buy into that whole they weren't allowed to thing, and I'm going to tell you why. Because we heard this with, Roger wasn't able to impose his game on Nole. Listen here. Nobody has control over your serve except for you. And if all of a sudden your serve flies out the window, you cannot blame that on your opponent.
Hitting the bottom of the net. The bottom of the net.
You throw the ball toss. You hit it over. Nobody
It's the only
is
point
in
you have control over. It is true.
So when you can't, she just didn't play at the level that she played against the other girls in her previous matches. Would she have won had she played that high? No, probably not, because again, it's Serena. But she didn't bring it like everybody hoped she would.
Serena didn't have anything to think about across the night.
And nobody thinks that maybe the fact that she has Sjogren's
No.
might have
Look.
Nah.
There are some days I love Venus.
We'll buy that.
excuse
We'll buy that.
on the
Excuse some
table.
days.
Well, if you don't
Some
buy
days.
it in this situation,
No,
I bet you any money that you won't be allowed to buy it in any other
Oh,
situation.
Of
Oh,
course
no.
you can.
I'm telling
I
you.
could have if she was. Of course we could buy it on any situation if she had spent hours on the court, but she hadn't.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
looked fine. She wasn't sluggish.
Everybody has an off day, and that was her off day, and unfortunately it was against Serena, the #1 player in the world.
In the world.
So she got,
Yeah.
her ass beat.
I mean, if Sharapova, who is 7 years younger than Serena, had at least Venus.
Sharapova doesn't have the game that Venus possesses. That Venus is capable of.
Sharapova never even got a break point.
That's when I understand all of that. But I'm simply saying is that Sharapova and Venus has not given the same tools. Sharapova is not in Venus league. Vintage Venus and Sharapova, not the same person. They're not. Vintage Venus is way better than Sharapova. And I saw Vintage
Maybe
Venus.
not.
But
Or
you know
maybe
what?
not. Suddenly in
But
this
you know.
conversation, Venus doesn't know how to play tennis, and she should be lucky that she scored well against somebody with Sharapova. And
But
now
you know what?
the dynamics have all shifted suddenly. It doesn't. It has not. It's not fantasist thinking to believe that Venus could have competed a little bit closer to Serena. We're not saying that she was going to be dominant, but we knew that Serena was actually slightly loose in the beginning of that match. And there
And
was
Serena,
and Venus herself didn't respond to that.
and I mean,
That's all.
let's be honest, hey Karen. In the early parts of majors, okay, Serena be giving you looks.
No, this was
'Cause,
not the early part of a major. This is the
This is
business
a
end
round
I
of
of
mean, but you know,
round
well,
of
look, Anna
round of
Lee,
16
look at the French
quarterfinals,
Open.
fourth
Serena
round.
gave away so many sets all the way to the final. Like
No, but
even
this
when she
time
was
around
ahead,
she's tight though.
she was very tight. She was very focused about, like she played a much more. But then again, it's grass, and she loves the grass, and she is trying to make up for the bit of disappointment of last year. She was just like, I worked so hard for Wimbledon last year, and she didn't get it, you know. So she was working with a whole different set of tools and mentality here this time around. But you know what? Anyway, moving on. Venus, we're sorry. It could. I For me, I expect you to do better, okay? You're gonna need to do a little bit better for me. Next time around, if there's another time, but you're still the queen. You're
Well,
still
maybe the
Queen
draw
Bee.
will be kinder to her.
Exactly, You need to hook up with Maria, because she be getting some really cool. Whoever be drawing up her draw, you need to talk to Maria, okay? You need to talk to Maria. I don't know who you need to find out who does Maria draw and sometimes Nole draw because Nole now. Talk to somebody, Venus. You should have some pull, okay? Don't worry about code assignment next Wimbledon. Worry about draw assignment, okay? Just,
Oh
just,
yeah, there's also that too.
just a little constructive criticism, okay? But anyway, for the ladies, I was more intrigued by the round of 16 on the women's side and on the men's side, and I'm just gonna name. I think this was where I really saw Muguruza was like, oh, this girl has had some shit this week. She got in her life together when Muguruza took out Caroline Wozniacki because I thought Caroline Wozniacki felt that this was a winnable match on her end. But of course, when she got nothing over there but pushing, Muguruza was just like, you know what, girl, push that ball over here and I'm gonna
I
put
have
it
to
down
tell you
the line.
that was an impressive win.
Exactly, and I think
It
that's where
was an
Muguruza.
impressive win. As a matter of fact, can we talk about Muguruza's road to the final of Wimbledon? She had a really tricky draw. And if you've ever watched Muguruza play tennis, you know that she's hit and miss.
Yes,
And more miss than hit.
exactly, and she don't miss by an inch; she missed by a country mile.
Yeah, she has absolutely nothing called spin. Doesn't know what that is. And for her
I
to
guess
get
that's why she's
through
Venezuelan and not Spaniard.
for her to get through the draw that she did against some of the most accomplished counterpunchers on the WTA tour says a lot about her mental game. Kerber, Wozniacki, um,
Baczynski,
Bajinski with that forehand, and Radwanska, the
Radwanska, yeah.
ultimate counterpuncher on the WTA tour. For her to get through a draw like that, and in the way that she did, says a lot about her. If she had played anybody else apart from Serena and possibly Venus, I would have been rooting for her. For a Grand Slam debut person, she really, she really did
She
her
brought it.
thing. She brought
Well,
it,
she brought it. I mean, I would say Safarova brought it too.
Yeah,
I mean,
somebody asked the question whether or not Muguruza is this year's
oh,
Steven.
I did. I
Yeah,
did.
oh, it was you?
Yeah, I did.
Whether
Because
she's this year's Bouchard.
I hope not.
Bouchard won 3 games in her Grand Slam debut.
no, no, I don't mean like that.
I think she's more along the lines
um,
of Simona Halep.
but let's be
I hope
fair.
not.
She will only. I think she will grow from here. She will grow.
But
She
let's
will
be
learn
fair
from
here,
this.
right? But I don't want to be slight her in any way. when she sniffed an opportunity, unlike most girls, she saw Serena over there shaking, and she was just like, "I'm grabbing this shit." You know, most
Yeah.
girls be
Yeah.
like, "I'm not sure whether I want to take this opportunity to beat Serena," but she
Yeah.
tried. But she was on her way to be lose. She almost lost what 10 straight games.
Yeah.
Um, but it was Serena who messed up on the other end, and she started to. That's when she decided she was really going to fight
Mm.
when she saw that Serena may be slipping. But my question of asking whether she's this year Bouchard is because last year I thought that getting to the quarterfinals of the French, I was going to see Muguruza do something along the way, get out of the top 20, and she didn't get out of the top 20 until this year, until this tournament. She was 20, I think. She was ranked 20 in the world. So that's why I've been questioning, like, it's
She was
Muguruza really?
injured. She was
She was
injured.
injured last year?
Yeah.
She was injured.
Okay.
Just like Jeannie Bouchard was, but she's not as photogenic. So people are kinder.
Oh,
That-
no,
that-
no.
I mean,
that-
no, they, I
You know what?
Yeah, but
You know
that
what?
obligation.
I don't even think it's photogenic. I think it's the ability to speak English.
yeah. Oh, that's going to be her biggest. That's going to be her biggest challenge. But I mean,
She
she is
doesn't
rep.
speak very
She
well.
is rep. She speaks it well, but
Right?
she's rep by IMG. So I believe Muguruza is going to have her. She's going to have a similar Bouchard run in the sense that she will be anointed as a marketing friendly champion, because in her tennisography, that was something that they actually interviewed an IMG rep for her, and he talked about how he knew right away that she was very marketable, and so you can imagine that she will have a similar appeal as Bouchard, but she has a stronger game, clearly.
Well, if that is the case, someone needs to talk to Adidas and tell them needs to stop wearing them shit. She needs to stop. Whoever be hooking up Anna Ivanovic needs to hook up Muguruza.
Well, at
Muguruza
some
was
point,
wearing
that
some
will
fishnet
happen.
stockings, white fishnet netty skirt. No, girl, no.
It's
Get
gonna
rid of that
come.
shit.
It's gonna come. Maybe she'll have
Hopefully
her own
pretty
line.
soon, because I don't like to see her. And someone needs to take her to a colorist. That hair dye look like it's clever from the box of the
Oh
pharmacy.
my God.
If you're gonna be on TV, marketable, step your game up, okay? This is
Well, I mean, the thing
not a read, just some construction.
but you're just pointing out. This is what's nice about it is like you get to see the player just as they're breaking through before they are then grabbed by the marketing
And turn
machine
into something.
and turned into whatever they're going to be turned into. You know what I mean? We've already seen that transformation. With
But
them.
what is funny is that I think I find her very personable. And
Yeah, she's very
what I
personable.
I would love to see her and Carla really hanging out, like what they talk about when they're by themselves, because it is such a because somehow, I mean, like, I think Carla is the one really controlling that doubles partnership, and
Yeah, she's the most seasoned one, and she's the
right.
most experienced one. I would assume Carla would be the one that takes the
But
lead.
I don't. Carla just seemed like a very shy person in general, and I want to see Carla be more aggressive, like, because.
I'm sure in the conversation, you don't know.
But I just find that doubles partnership really interesting. And here is another top girl, interesting enough, who is committed. Two of them are in the top 10. Is Carla still in the top 10? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
You know?
she's number 9, I think.
Okay, and here two top girls playing doubles. Interesting, I mean.
Well, actually, I
doubles-
think it with the new rankings, Muguruza became number 9.
Or is she
Yeah.
number 9 or 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I just saw that in
Yeah.
the posting on the WTA. So she's a welcome to the number.
Yeah, she's in the top
Welcome to
10.
number
This
9.
tournament made her top 10 for sure.
Oh, wow.
And Aga is back in the top 10. She has been long and lost. And before we go any further, some people need to take back seats, because I didn't say it, but someone, I'm not gonna name any names, but I'm just gonna say, the name start with a J, was like, oh, Carla is number 10. Carla is number 10, and
I had agreed with Janina as well.
and K too, JK. I'm just saying.
Aga,
Y'all said Aga was dead, and You know,
You
She's
know
back
what?
alive
Wait,
again.
she
She's
lost.
not alive. She fucking lost. She had the miracle draw. She should
Allah,
have been in that
Allah.
final.
Aga is number 7 in the world, and
You know
Aga can show up
what?
at nearly any vulture tournament and be the number 1 seed and get herself a bye the first week.
Well, maybe she should try that.
And
Well,
Aga is
you know, she's back. You know what? She's going to be back to doing what Aga always used to do, which is, I mean, she had that disastrous run with her coaching problems, and now she's returned to what she does best, and she's back in the top 10. She's number 7. Anna Ivanovic is number 6. You
and
know
she's
that
gonna
means
get
that. You know that means that she can easily leapfrog that. And
exactly.
so, you know, she just has to go back to what she used to do, which is playing games and getting all the way to maybe the quarterfinals, maybe the finals, maybe the quarterfinals of a slam,
And
and
stay
then
away
maybe the
from
finals.
exactly.
She's defending points in Canada, right? So she's defending a title
Yeah.
there. So, you know, she's finding her legs again. And she'll
Well, good
probably
luck,
then
girl.
become a steady figure back in the top 10. That's all she
Yeah.
needs to do.
Because you know Petra, Petra be liable to let someone take
Oh,
a number 4 spot. You know Petra isn't
Exactly.
about that life, about being up there. And
No,
Petra
she
used to be
doesn't.
the
Petra did.
gatekeeper.
Petra did. Petra already
And
took it. Wozniacki's number 4.
no. Wozniak is the number 4. She's number
Yeah,
5.
no. Wozniacki's number 4. Petra's number 5.
Are
The
you
new
sure?
yes, the new rankings. I'm looking at the new rankings today, and Serena's number
You're
1.
right. You're right.
Sharapova
They
is back
actually
to
are
number
both.
2,
Oh, that's because they're both a number. They both have 5,000 points.
but it
Kvitova and
depends on the last. Yeah.
yeah, Kvitova and Wozniak had 5,000 points.
well, I tell you,
Um,
Look
Sharapova's
at
a very weak number 2 right now.
well, Sharapova knows what she needs to do to stay at number 2.
Well, everyone is fairly weak if you think about the numbers. I mean, it's the same thing with Novak Djokovic. The number between 1 and 2 is it's like twice. It's almost twice the points.
I
So,
read
So
somewhere today that Novak statistically cannot lose his number 1 ranking
probably not. Not unless
until
he's like even if
until
October.
until October,
yeah
and that's statistic. That's mathematically. But I
yeah
don't think anyone is gonna be playing that much tennis to try to even do
nobody
anything
Who
cares.
with
would?
Federer. So
Same
he's gonna
thing
go.
for Serena. I'm assuming. I mean, she's
Serena is
at
twice the points
14,000
ahead.
points. Yeah.
She's twice ahead of Maria,
So
and
the
that's
battle is really from 2 all the way down to I don't know actually.
and
It's
that's
not so
because the
bad.
6,000 points she collected at the majors, and since she did disastrous at these majors last year,
Mhm.
she's cleaning up basically. She's making a ton of points.
And
Um,
she said she wants to actually make sure that her ranking is secure because she doesn't want any pressure heading into Australia next year.
that's
So,
just
So
yeah.
you know this summer she's going to be playing U.S. Open
Serena showed up
Series.
in 2007 Australian Open rank 80 something 100, and there was still pressure on Serena. So I don't know what you're trying to
I
talk
don't know what I know.
No,
Them
I
guys
think
are gonna be
I
about
actually
the
think
entire
Serena is
field.
going.
So,
I think Serena is actually going for weeks at number 1 title.
oh,
well,
that's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work.
I think she's going for that as well.
why not? I mean, look at
That's
the
Hey,
competition.
what else does she have to
What
do,
else? You
right?
may as well give
Shit.
yourself little. You give yourself
She's
little
done it
goals.
all.
I
You
think
look
I
at the
think
Done it
little
all.
goals.
the unfortunate point, the unfortunate thing for me in my mind with Serena, I think Serena is fighting the whole idea of being a legend. And I think, unfortunately, as we have seen and as we know in the real world, nothing she does at this current point they're not gonna anoint you a legend while you're still playing the game. They're not going to.
Well, I
They can
mean,
say you're
she
good.
just
They
your
can say
job
that
is
you're
just to
good.
collect it, though. Your job is
Right.
just to do all the things you need to do so that when you leave the sport, they have no other option but to anoint you as the legend that you are.
Yeah, but I think a lot of these things is, as we know, is always debatable. Not that it is always true, but there will always be a debate. And you
Mm.
can't win the debate. You can't win the argument outright. Like there's never a sport where I hear anyone, no matter whatever sport it is, someone say, hands down, this is the best. This is the
Right.
best. No
You
one
don't
can
think
argue
so?
this.
You don't
I,
think
I,
so? I
I
feel
don't
like
think
there's
there's any.
no
I think any.
conflict on the WTA about who's the best.
No, no, no,
I mean,
no.
particularly because no one's even lobbying for anybody else,
No, no, no.
right?
I mean,
At this moment, but
I mean,
forever in the history of
current
the
ranking
sport.
or in the legend of in the history of the sport. at this current moment, there's no argument that Serena is the best player on tour right now. But when it comes to the legend and the history of the sport, there are arguments, there are
Really?
discussions.
Hmm.
I
I mean,
mean,
I mean, aside, most of the legends seem to want to give over to that, and it's not as if they are sort of
except
like,
Martina.
yeah, except for Martina, exactly, except for
Um,
Martina. I
but
mean,
on but
even
journalists are facing debating the issue. I mean, like I've seen them without even prompting. I see them
really,
go on Twitter, like, let's just be fair. Serena's not the greatest. It's Steffi Graf. I think that's why Steffi Graf made that tweet at the Australian Open, I think it was, and she was just like, Serena's accomplishment is great, people. Like, you're
well,
just
because
like,
Steffi Graf, I mean, I don't think the interesting thing is I don't think any of the ladies who came before are
yeah,
are are
except Martina.
except for Martina. I don't think they're engaged in trying to figure out if they're better than
I don't think
Serena.
they are
They're
either.
willing.
And
They're
trust
willing
me.
to just be like, "Here, go have it." I don't think Steffi Graf cares if she's the greatest ever. She did her tennis, and she's like, "I did what I could, and there you go." I think this. It's not like say like. I think on the men's side, there's a lot of sort of like battles going on, but on the women's side, it's becoming increasingly clear in terms of all of the stats
Right.
that's being racked up, and also because I just don't think they're camps of people. There's no Steffi Graf camp like virulently saying, "Geez," you know what I mean?
Trust me,
There
there
are
are
some,
grumbling.
but they're
They're
grumbling.
grumbling.
But
And,
I think Steffi Graf's approach to it helps to silence that because I don't think she's not sitting around wanting to be it. She's not. You know what I mean? She's acknowledging Serena's greatness anytime you have her speak.
mhm.
Chrissy already concedes to it.
But what I like, what thing that, except now her best friend though.
saying, and putting in asterisks.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
What I
Martina's the
find,
only one that's
Third
got a
time
tug of
trying to
war.
ask
she's putting in asterisk side eyes, bitch face, like pregnant pauses, like she's putting it all in. But what I like, on the women's side, I find interesting, but actually on the men's side, I don't hate them interviewing the legends at all. I mean, like
No.
recent legends like Matt Zilander, because they work in television.
Yeah.
Rod Laver, he don't say shit but show up in the stand at Rod Laver Arena. I think they're paying him to just be there. I swear to God. Like, Dion Moore says nothing. He's just showing up there just because he got a free ticket and they probably paid for his flight. And he's probably trying to do some business venture for his sport clothing line. But for the women, when I hear a lot of them talk about Serena in particular, they seem to express a certain level of sympathy because they understand the pressure and like the tremendous effort it is to be at number one, and it is. At the very least, I would think it must be a huge weight on her shoulder, constantly having to, even though knowing she's the best, doesn't matter. I mean, like just to carry the sport, and just to be there and trying to chase these legends. Because, I mean, when you look at the numbers of some of those Martina Navratilovan's record, doubles, singles, I mean, like those women played a lot of tennis. Jesus.
Yes, they did.
And they won't get a lot of money. Fuck it. I think they have to play so much tennis to make some money because I was like, Serena could show up at a tournament for 2 weeks and get $3 million at the U.S. Open. Shit. Somebody give me $3 million. Fuck it. I'm done. I'm retired. I am done, people. But anyway, on the women's side, I think that's about it. I mean, I guess we have to talk about. I was disappointed in Bencic. Not that I think she could have beaten Azarenka, but I thought she could have done better. But I think
She
it's
was injured. She was. I mean,
played a lot of tennis. She was playing a lot of
had her
tennis.
tape wrapped up. But can we give her a shout out
Yes,
for
yes. A
a
good effort.
titleist? For doing a title, a premier level event at 18 years old. Big
Oh,
And
man.
she's 18. I didn't realize she was so young.
Yeah.
Well, good for her.
And what, 2 years out of juniors?
I'm still looking at you.
2 years ago, she was playing Taylor Townsend in the semi-finals of Wimbledon juniors.
It wasn't in the finals.
Huh?
It was the final. It was the final. They played in the final.
It was a final, right?
Yeah,
Of
it was the
Wimbledon
final.
juniors.
Yeah.
And look at her now.
I have to say that I am really impressed by her consistency. That
Yes.
she's improving. That she was flopped. She came up. She did well. Then she flopped, and then she has really rebounded. She's made some good account of herself, and I hope
Well,
it's a
she's
steady
long
improvement.
term. She's long term.
Yes,
That
and
one's
I
a
do
long
like
term.
yes,
Yeah.
I do like the steady improvement and not the meteoric rise and then the
And then the
fading
slap.
fast
Yeah.
and then the legs just go all out
You
of mess.
won't get a sophomore slump.
And also, talk about sophomore slump. We can talk about Coco Vandaway, who was hot hand. Like, what's funny? I saw her play Lucy Safarova, and you know, Safarova, had a diva moment because Safarova thought no way Coco Vandaway was gonna beat me until she got beaten. Like Safarova didn't do anything when the moment counted. She
She's
allowed Coco
tired.
Vandaway to
She's tired. Lucy's
that
not used to winning so many matches.
oh, I don't know if that's a
Lucy's
sh- I don't
not.
know I don't know
Lucy
if
got
that's
to
a
the
read.
finals of a Grand Slam in singles and doubles. That is not easy. That is not easy.
That's 13
Lucy's not
matches.
used to winning. Lucy's used to, being a part of a draw and getting to the quarters, or
The bridesmaid.
if she's lucky, the semifinals.
She's not used to maid of honor position at
Yeah,
all. Like,
she's not used to the kind of winning that she has been doing since the season started. So, you know, I'm not surprised at her loss. I mean, I expect her to recover during the US hardcourt series.
mhm.
Get a break. She's, losing in doubles was probably a blessing. Give herself a chance to rest. It's for the first time in a long while I haven't seen her with tape on her thighs and on her legs and all over her body. So she needs a chance to rest and recuperate.
And she's
So
having fun playing tennis. It seems.
yeah, so
So,
she got two Grand Slam doubles this year. She got a title, a Premier level title, beating Azarenka in Doha. Got to the finals of the French Open where she pushed Serena. I mean, she has been doing well. So take a seat now, Lucy. You deserve it. You need a break.
so before we go before just to wrap up on the ladies, can we just have a word about Madison Keys? Because
No.
she just locked herself out of that match, right? Like, I don't
I
know, like
I
she was.
expect big things from her if she can get
Madison just
herself
needs to
together.
learn how to.
She needs
You
to
know,
manage herself.
I read an interview that she gave to Courtney Nguyen. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name. Um, during after a loss, and she was asked why did she continue to go, try to hit backhands down the line when she kept missing them, and she said, because I'm stubborn and I expect that at some point in time one of them will go in.
The law of averages. She's not
And
like Sharapova
and
beating
then when
Serena
they kept
King.
not going in, she kept getting frustrated and she kept going for that shot continuously because God damn it, that backhand down the line will have to go in. And that's a mindset that, her former coach probably had as well when she was playing. So that's something that she
Former
needs to
coach.
think about. She needs to think about also,
Oh,
kind of
hold up. You said former coach. She and Lindsay no longer together?
no, her coach, sorry.
Oh,
So
okay, okay.
her
I'm
current
like,
coach
what?
also had that same problem, the negativity on court, the inability sometimes to get the ball where you want it to go and continuing to go for the same shot, time after time. In addition to that, she needs to learn how to hit with margin. Good God, woman, doesn't not every ball has to be hit hard and flat. But she's young, and she's learning. So it will
She
take
makes
a
sense.
little time.
Yeah, I figure, the U.S. Open is a place to her to make some big noise. She was disappointed last year. I know she was in tears last year,
Hmm.
with her failed performance. She thought she had a good opportunity. I think she lost to Krunic, I think it was.
Hmm.
Bencic, one of the two,
Prunage.
Krunic.
Prunage.
And she had an opportunity here. So I expect to see U.S. Open is gonna be hot for many reasons.
Well, the thing
So
about it is that these players have to learn how to rein in their shots. They just have to learn that, at some point in time, I'm going to have to be out here for a couple hours longer. I have to hit
they're not
another.
about that life. They're not about that life at all.
Yeah.
No,
You
not
know.
about
Well,
that life.
I
Well, I
saw
mean,
something, some stats on Keys, and she actually hits the ball harder than anybody on tour.
Yes, she does.
Oh, no. No.
She does.
This is not true. That cannot
Even
be.
hits the
It
hard
is
ball.
true.
That
That's something.
cannot
It's the
be.
hardest ball.
Like,
It is the
I mean,
hardest ball.
what I
Reals,
find
who
rather
did you want to hit the hardest ball? Who's your hardest ball hitter?
no,
Why
I'm
are you
just
having a problem with this?
I don't have a problem with this personally. I'm just simply saying, I know I've read that statistic, I've seen the graphics, but what I find so interesting is that those same graphic statistics and the reporters who mentioned those statistics are no longer saying that thing come Wimbledon when Madison Keys has flopped. The then
No,
for
they were
sure,
talking
Yeah,
about
we were
it.
talking
But
about
the
that.
thing is, they were saying power isn't everything. You have to
Yep.
know when to use it.
oh
You
no,
need to know when to pull back and restrain yourself a little bit. Even though and actually I did at Wimbledon what they just it was actually during a Serena match, maybe even between the Venus and Serena match when they were talking about it, about how powerful both of them are, and they said, well, actually Madison Keys hits the hardest ball on tour right now, but she doesn't know how to control her power. And when she can do that, she will probably be a much more
okay.
formidable opponent.
So, I mean,
So
then that's actually what was disappointing, I think, for Madison. Why? Because Madison Keys actually walked off the court before, before her opponent.
I
Usually
remember
walk off
that.
together.
Right.
She was so upset that because she had that problem in the first set, but in the second set she really reined it in and played much smarter and played with
Tennis, yeah.
much more margin, and she really was able to do the thing that you can do against Aga once you get over yourself, which is serve well and eventually break her serve because you're not falling for her little trick shots.
Exactly.
But then she really began to get over anxious again towards the end of that set because it seemed winnable to her, I think, or towards the end of the match. Because when Aga served, she had chances in Aga's final game to break. And all of the errors were hers. You know what I mean? They were like, it wasn't.
It didn't surprise me at all.
Outdueled by Aga in some ways. She was in a good position to take a finishing shot, if my memory serves me correctly, and she just hit big again. It was almost like she could feel it. The anxiety was too much, and so she was so distressed. She left the court very quickly. No bowing, none of the normal things, no going off
That's
together.
right, girl.
And
You
that
okay?
tells
Got
you
fired
that
from your job.
she was aware in that moment that it was her error. You know what I mean? That match was on
It was
her
all
record.
her. Well,
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm happy that hopefully it's spring to better things because all I've been saying, Madison Keys, Venus at 35 with Sjogren syndrome is still the number 2
One of the
American and
climate, but
solid number 2.
but look at just if you look at the quarterfinal and the semifinals, you can see that there's reason to be excited about a couple of these like power players if they can get themselves together. You've got Madison Keys, you've got Muguruza, and Coco. She could figure out how to control that herself a little bit.
I feel like Coco's just a hot mess
She's
forever.
a little bit of a hot mess.
I
Always.
agree.
Always.
I agree.
I think, and it's weird to me how Coco just disappears. Like, where does she go? Does
Yeah.
she disappear because she has injuries?
That's why
She
she's
goes
a
on
hot mess
Twitter.
forever.
She goes
No,
on
where does she
Twitter.
go?
She goes and have some kind of beef with some girl in the
No,
in
honestly,
Twitter.
you know what? I'm being serious because
I know you're being serious because
you
it's true.
hear about
Because
everybody else, and then suddenly Coco shows up, and you're like, wait a minute, did you take a break on the clay season? Like, what?
when we see all the others,
What I always
Iced
find funny, and it's so funny because the first time I heard about Coco was in 2008 when she played JJ at the U.S. Open in her opening round match, Arthur Ashe Stadium, and she was, and I thought to myself, who the hell is this? I've never heard of you. And she basically got her ass handed to her, and I'm like, good God, this girl sucks. And 2 years later, I didn't hear anything more about her, and then 2 years later, here she's again with another wild card. She's like Alexa Glatch.
Yeah, well, and you remember
never hear Alexa Glatch until U.S. hardcore seasons where she gets all wild cards. But all of a sudden, she's playing clay court tennis. And
well, you know where we're gonna hear about Coco again.
Where?
We're gonna hear about Coco at Stanford because
Oh, because she likes to kick ass there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Got to
she
the
does.
final.
Well, you know what? Get your Stanford, Coco. Do the
Coco,
damn
You know
thing.
what?
you
You
know
know what
I'm
I
all
never
about.
understand?
Make that money wherever you can, girl.
How does she manage to hit that backhand that way? How does the ball go in with that backhand? I've never seen a
She's
backhand like that.
crazy.
But
I don't
but it's
know.
also the same thing about every part of her game to me. I always feel like Coco, every part of her game seems to me built off of the possibility that she could fall down any moment. It all looks very messy. You know what I mean? There's no
Discombobulated. Coco looks Coco Pop. Like,
I mean, that backhand looks like she's shoveling snow.
Oh my God.
It does.
you
Look,
know what? You know what? Look,
This is
ladies.
bad.
Okay, okay,
Okay, wait. Can we talk about one? Let me ask you the question, because this is the
okay.
problem that Aga has always. So can we talk a little bit about this? I know we've already discussed Aga, but can we talk about what is the challenge for Aga? Because there's a moment here, right? It's the same thing that happened with Muguruza. Aga does that thing where she. Do you think it's just like the sleight of hand, the tricks, and she steals a set? But eventually, the bigger power player always settles down and says, "Okay, thanks for playing, Aga. I'm gonna be taking this match right now."
Well, I think Aga doesn't have a plan B, and that's the problem.
no, I
Oh
When
disagree.
no, I don't think so.
no,
You
no,
I
no,
think?
no,
disagree.
No, I don't think
no,
I
no,
think
so.
she has. I
no,
think
no,
she
no.
has too much game.
She has a lot
Has
of
But
plans.
has
maybe
too
wait,
much.
I
She
say that so
reminds
far
me.
to
You know
say
who she reminds me of? She reminds me of Andy Murray before he won a
Yes,
Grand Slam.
yeah. Before he was taught how to like
Before
marshal
he was
all that.
taught how to actually
marshal his game.
put in a get a game plan and stick to it. With
Regardless of how
Aga,
it's working.
I don't think her coach actually I think Aga is one of those players who is of the view that she's so talented and she has this arsenal of shots in her that she can use at any given point in time. And she's probably been told, these girls all they have is power. They don't have
Don't
anything
play
else.
bush league tennis.
You have nuance and you
Girl,
have
you're no
culture,
Federer.
you
You are
have
no Federer.
strategy, you have tactics, and they tell her that she has all these tools. But when she goes on court, nobody tells her how to diffuse the power of her opponent. And so, even if she can win a match using dinks and slices and coming into net and all that kind of stuff, at the end of the day, you need time to do that shit. You really do. Maybe one of the things that I need to teach her is to play with topspin because I don't think she plays with enough a la Sarah Irani. Because one of the reasons why Sarah Irani has been so effective with her game is because she has a varied game. A lot of people don't see it. All they see is that 75 mile per hour first. But Sarah Irani, if you can put aside everything else, has one of the most varied games on the WTA tour.
Well, when I say Aga doesn't have a plan B, I think at some point, as you point out, Andreen, the girls are gonna be like, okay, let's settle down now. The girls are gonna be like, Aga, I'm not allowing you to do this shit to me anymore. You get your highlight reel, it looks cute, it looks funny, but no, they're gonna push her back, and she doesn't have that time to go in and pull out the bag of tricks anymore because they stop working. So there is no.
They just take away time from her. That's all they do.
Right.
They
So
take
the
away time.
alternative, she has no alternative to fix that. That's my thing. There's
One of
no
the things with
plan B.
Aga is that Aga has a really good first serve. It's not a big first serve, but it has really good placement on it. And so if she gets her first serve in, inevitably she will, if she's not blown off the court with the return, she will
Make our
win the
way.
point because she can take control, move inside the court, and do what needs to be done. What gets Aga all the time is her second serve. And sometimes, if people don't give a good clean hit on the return, she can do a half volley pick up, do something with the ball, put a little spin on it, redirect it and that kind of thing. And that's all good. And it really makes it is effective against today's players. But it's when she comes up at the latter part of events like this, and you meet somebody who like a Serena or Sharapova or somebody like
Muguruza,
that who is
who just
moving.
and
Somebody,
they're like, I will not lose
somebody
Well,
who
and
was
I mean that's exactly what happened with Muguruza.
yeah,
Like
that's what happened.
towards the very end, Muguruza settled down and started winning points off of 3 shots. As
Yeah.
soon as it went over 4-3, Aga was completely in control because she started
Hmm.
moving Muguruza around because Muguruza is not a great mover. But Muguruza suddenly realized, I'm just going to return your serve, and then I'm going to hit that ball the next time it comes back at me.
Yeah.
And she's done. You know, she just decided to not give up the baseline anymore. She's
Yeah.
and
right
it
because Aga
worked for
can't do that.
yeah,
Aga
it
can't
worked for
off of the
Madison in the
baseline.
second set. It worked for Madison in the second set. And I think what happens is you get a little distracted because that's a part of Aga's strategy too, right? Is that she lulls you into playing her game for a while. And if you're not if you don't sort of stand your
Exactly.
ground, you end up running around like a crazy person.
And playing messy tennis, and you know
Like
you're
Venus
at
in the first set, like Venus in the first set in Australia.
Exactly. You start running around and you go, wait a minute, I can control my points better. And then
Mhm.
you calm down, you get your servant. Because that was the thing. We kept saying to myself, Madison Keys, why are you letting Aga get comfortably through her service games?
Another thing that Aga does well, is she returns very well.
And she
And one of the
anticipates.
things that I find with big servers, a lot of big servers, when you redirect the pace of the ball back to
Hmm.
them, they can't handle it.
They can't
And
move out of the way fast enough
They
to.
yeah,
can't
and
move out of
Aga is
the way.
really good at that. She's really good, and sometimes she just dinks the ball back like Fed. Fed. What That's one of the reasons why Fed is so good at returning big serves
Yeah.
because he just barely gets his racket on it, puts in a lot of slice and spin and everything
He
on it.
just
Ball
he just
drops
he
short.
put it back over with an interest, and
Yeah,
not with power
so you
interest, but just
basically have to be running up, moving forward.
and bending low.
And the ball is low, it's probably a dead ball in any event, and you find yourself getting passed or some kind of shit happening to you, you don't know what, and you've lost the
And you're like,
point.
I just put in 150 miles an hour. What the I get this shit.
Sam Groff hit a serve 145 miles an hour and he lost the point.
Because he didn't expect the serve to come back. That's the other thing too. Is like sometimes I think they take the effort to serve big, but then they forget the
They
second
don't
step,
get
which
shot
is to
Exactly.
respond.
the second step.
And
They never
who
make
was
the
really
second
good
step.
at that second shot? It was Dementieva. She was really good at that second shot,
Well,
and
she had no other choice because she wasn't really serving. I'm just saying.
but that's the thing. If you don't have a good serve, then you need to be able to do well on that half volley pick up of
Right,
the return
right.
serve.
But this
And you
is
know who is good at that? Sarah Errani.
Mm. Well, I
She's
mean,
really
you'd
good at
have to
that.
learn that, right? You'd have to learn that. That's
You
something
have
you.
That's something that you have to practice, and that's something that Aga doesn't do very well because guess what? She doesn't have enough leg strength to
Mm.
get down low. Kerber has it. Kerber does it. Look at Kerber's legs. Kerber's legs. Her first and second serves are probably 2 miles apart. And so when the return of serve comes, because Kerber doesn't use her leftiness to any advantage, so when the return of serve comes back, she's basically down on her knees to
Yeah,
get the ball back.
Okay.
But
whipping that ball back.
she has powerful legs, a powerful ass, and that is important. And you tell them a
Yes,
powerful,
it is. It is. That's where all the
a
that's where
strong
all the
ass
power comes from.
is an
Mhm.
important asset as an athlete. And
And
that's one of
no
the
pun
reasons why Serena
intended.
is also very effective. Because
Oh,
And your center of gravity is lower.
and your center of gravity is lower. So
so
all those skinny asses are never ever going to get the better of Serena because of the junk in her trunk. And people out there listening, we have proof.
okay.
Oh, and also, I mean, before we quickly move to from the women, I know we've been here for a while. I also want to say shout out to Tamia for actually. I mean, she got to
Yes.
the quarters. I think she could have gotten through the Garbina match, but she completely like self-destructed on some level.
First of all, she was
Um,
self-destructing and
but
plus
good
against
for
Nicolescu.
yeah, but good for her to sort of follow up a nice run at Roland Garros with with a really good run here. I expect her to do well on the
Yeah.
hard courts.
Give her a
And
round of
again,
applause.
yeah, I mean, very good for her. That's what we want.
And I like her
No,
tennis. No, I don't like her forehand. I love her tennis.
I like her tennis too.
Nicolescu as well. Monica Niculescu, we really need to give her a shout out
A
because
real shout out.
I
you know
can't
She,
with that. I can't with that. I can't watch that forehand. I
no,
cannot
I
watch
love
that.
it. I love
you know
that
what?
forehand. It's not
I love it. It's
it's a fun
artistic.
game. She has a
It's
It
fun
definitely
is.
fun.
style.
I'm
It's
telling
very
you.
fun to
If
watch.
I have played Monica Nicolescu, I think I'll probably throw the ball in her face. I can literally pick it up and tell the
Mm-mm.
umpire to look up and throw it in her face because I'm like,
Oh
are you
my god.
serious with this shit? Like, but you
But
know
you
what?
know
What is so
what?
crazy
But
that
you know what? That's good though. If you have a game that annoys your opponent, that's a win already.
she doesn't. I don't think she doesn't use it nearly enough. Like, to throw junk
Oh
at
my god, it
you.
was great. She's
She
fun
can
though.
use so much junk. It's even crazier. But anyway, all for the ladies. Now I think we've discussed them at length.
Yes, that was very
Um,
lovely.
And honestly, there isn't much in the round of 16 to talk about for the men. Other actually two matches stand up.
Oh, there are a couple. There are a
Oh,
couple. I mean,
I
more
mean,
like
literally,
let's slam them for their silliness.
there are two matches I think, but three really. I just want to talk about the fact that Burditch lost to Simone. I don't know
Straight
why.
sets. That's the brutal. Straight sets.
I mean, like Burditch.
Whew.
I mean,
No, the best part of that was the press conference.
look, I'm telling you, I could drink with Burditch. I
That's
want
the
to
ultimate
drink
burn.
Burditch.
That was the
Burditch.
ultimate burn.
I'm telling you, that wasn't even shade. That was
That
straight
was
out.
He
burn.
said, "Is he serious?
I mean,
Is he
like,
trying to make fun of me?"
But you know what? Basically, the reporter said, "Listen, I saw Simone's name next to yours, and I assume you would get
you
through
made it
that."
quarterfinals.
Oh man,
Oh my
that was
God,
great.
no,
That was
no.
the best part of that. I
Oh
mean,
my God,
fuck
I
the
feel like
match.
I feel like
That was,
But you know what? Maybe Simone. I have to say, maybe Simone was actually auditioning for the Davis Cup team. To be honest, that might have been the. You know what? That might have been the extra motivation for a lot of the Frenchies that made it far. Was because they had in the back of their mind they didn't necessarily expect to win, maybe, but they really wanted. They were probably auditioning for Davis Cup. Like, this is what I'm going to be able to do on this grass. If they're coming back, well, they're going to
oh,
Queens, but it's similar grass,
oh
right?
yes, that's
So
true. I
I
forgot
think
about
there
that.
might have been like an external motivation because remember,
Oh,
Simone was not chosen for the last Davis Cup
oh,
well, and you know what? How'd that work out for them?
team in the end.
you know what?
I mean, but you know
Anyway,
what? Listen, I tell you,
anyway,
I always thought that their decision not to go with Simone versus Federer on a clay court when Federer's back was a problem was not wise. But anyway,
but I'm just saying,
because if there's one thing Simone likes to do is grind out a
Right?
match.
and I'm not even gonna be
But
really
I was
shady to people. I'm just gonna say I wouldn't always pick Sanga for Davis Cup. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really, but that's a different
Yeah, I
story.
was with some man straight and like, I don't feel bad, they don't support me. Girl, we ain't trying to hear that shit today. Are you coming here to play and win? Or you coming here to lose? I mean, like, if there's a problem when Monfils is more reliable, is your most reliable member on your team, it's a problem. That's a problem. Monfils don't even show up for himself, but he's showing up for country? Shit.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's how he rolls. But the other match that for the fourth round, which I was quite dismissive, sadly. I thought that Trotsky would totally
Oh,
take
that's
Pospisil.
yeah,
I thought he would. I thought he would comfortably take Pospisil.
king of the scrub. I'm the king of the scrubs. I'm telling you. My
Mm-mm.
popsicle came through. I'm telling you. I was giving my popsicle some shade because that motherfucker, you letting Troitsky run your ass all over the place, eh? Then my boot out his notebook, like Serena, and he sat down on the changeover and he checked his notes and remembered himself that Troitsky is not someone to be getting really far at Wimbledon. We do not want to see his ass in any quarterfinals, any semifinals, and sure as hell no finals. And Popsicle came through.
Well,
Popsicle came through. He played really well.
He
He
came
played.
through, but let me tell you something. I finally decided to watch Pospisil play Murray. Because, I hear all about Pospisil. He's quite
Oh, I
popular
didn't expect
online.
it gonna happen there. I
No,
know.
no. I'm not even saying that. But I watched that match and I thought to myself, he's a lovely player, but no, it's like Karen said the week before, no kill shot.
Nothing.
No
I
kill
swear to
shot.
God, that
Yeah,
motherfucker's out there trying to make a rally for
yeah.
no goddamn reason. And what is crazy is that he's an excellent doubles player, but he goes up at net and try to continue the
Yeah.
rally. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
He didn't use any of his double skills to
Exactly.
make any kind of dent in that match. First of all, why are you trying to grind it out with Andy Murray? He loves that. Don't do that.
I
So
know.
at least, when he was in winning positions to end the
Plural.
shot. And that's when I was like, oh wait, he has no forehand? What? No backhand? Like you can't just end the shot? No. He's gonna hit a rally ball. He's gonna hit a rally ball. And I
No.
thought to myself.
Popsicle's not about that life. Popsicle's not about that life. She's not.
So that's when I realized that Pospisil is really
Popsicle,
cute.
he's all
And that's
hard
all
and
he
solid.
is right there.
He's hard and solid at the baseline.
As are
And then he gets
the majority of the ATP guys.
Oh
and gets
Lord.
into an ice cream.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's really true. I mean, it really is true, especially the ones that get all the recognition in terms of name recognition. Because I heard quite a lot about Pospisil, and I watch him every now and then, but I don't pay attention that much. And then this was an opportunity to see him play against one of the big guns, right? And one of probably the more vulnerable ones. And you really could see, wait, you have nothing to hurt Andy Murray at all.
And you know what's crazier? He was battling a fifth set against James Ward. Third round. So
That's all you need to know about James.
exactly. That tells you all to know about Popsicle. He's under the impression I have to have a word with him. Boo. They don't pay you by sets one, okay? They pay you by matches one, okay? They don't care whether you drop 3 games or whether you drop 50 games. Game paycheck. And what's even crazier was that he lost in a 5-set doubles.
Yeah, that was weird too.
So he had no legs. He had literally no legs. So even if he had a kill shot, he wouldn't even have the strength to even do anything up there. He was playing, I mean, James Wan and Troitsky. I mean, I didn't think he was going to beat Murray, but James Wan and Troitsky, he was in 5th sets for no goddamn reason. He couldn't finish out shit. He couldn't, and it's disappointing. And I don't know who his coach is, but y'all need to talk to this boy because he looks like he has marketing energy, the real Canadian with marketing power and energy.
Well, he's also often injured. So if I was Pospisil, I would sit around, I would take a look at my game and say, how can I be more efficient? I may not have a kill shot, but how can I use my volume skills or something to end points quicker and be more aggressive on some level? Because the hanging at the baseline when you have no power, I don't get that.
And then work your way at net and still trying to rally.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Yeah, kill that shot.
How you go to play tennis, but Sony, probably your English teacher. Like that is fucking crazy.
How was the Stan versus Goffin match? I didn't get a chance to watch much of it. Was it as pretty as people expected?
It was solid. It was solid, pretty tennis, but unfortunately, Goffin was Goffin and Stanley was Stanley.
Yep, that's all.
That's all we're gonna do about that.
Yeah,
that's what it was. In the big moment, Stanley did what Stanley showed himself to be, the champion. Two-time Grand Slam champion. And Goffin just couldn't, Unfortunately for Goffin, I think like these moments are like so unexpected. Like he has already seen himself. I am going to my work is to stay in top 20. That's it. I'm going to be a Tommy Roberto from Belgium, okay? I need to be in the 17, 15, 16 area. And I don't think he legitimately thinks he can get to number 10, I'll be in the top 10.
I mean, I think he has a pretty enough game, but I mean, it'll be interesting. Well, this is also the round where we almost lost Novak Djokovic. And in hindsight, we all blame Kevin
Kelsey Anderson. A word from America. You're not invited to the Wild Cool parties.
That was so disappointing. You know what? Kevin Anderson had the chance of a lifetime, and he fucking blew it.
God damn it! And I mean,
he really did. He really should have won that match.
Before you go for Nole fan, let me just let you know. Don't get mad on whatever case of me.
Oh, here we go.
Scrubs taking out everybody except Roger Federer. Just saying. I mean, I was mad at Tepe I was kind of mad at Tepe. But I was happy he got that 4th round check, but motherfucker didn't do shit with it, right? He didn't try to do anything. I'm all for someone new winning the majors. I'm all for someone absolutely new. And I thought Kevin Anderson had an absolutely amazing shot. Like you faced Novak Djokovic in 2 tiebreakers, and you didn't flinch.
Yeah.
And then you decided to do what the fuck? You decided to make it go over 2 days And then the best part, the one trick pony. You know what I really hate? When the one trick pony can't show the fucking trick. There
When that
was
one trick stops working.
exactly. So there was Kevin Anderson serving to was he serving to stay in the match or something? And then double faults like 3 times, 3 or 2 times. Just literally give away his serve
He
in the
couldn't
fifth
handle the
set.
moment. And you know what? This is what we talk about all the time. This is what separates the men from the boys. This is why Novak was able to hang tight and say, I'm going to wait for him to crack. And he did. And that's exactly what happened.
But no, they knew he shouldn't have lost that third set
No, he
1-6.
shouldn't have.
That was the
But
problem.
he
Kept
couldn't
fighting to get it
handle the
out.
moment at
Yeah.
all. He couldn't do it.
So that was Nole's scary moment, and then Philip Kohlschreiber, Kevin Anderson did what you were
You
supposed
know
to
what?
do.
I don't want to talk about
Philippe, I
culture.
should say. But that was and Bernard Tomic. But you know what? I'm saying this like I really expected they were gonna do shit. Kevin Anderson really surprised me because you know what I said? I said no, they was gonna tap dance all the way into the final. Like
I said it too, and
and
he
he
did.
tap danced
Sorry.
away all the way to the title, in fact.
Well, I mean, and it's interesting because, basically what it tells you is that his generation or whomever is coming up is kind of non-existent.
Yeah.
Well, it's something that you always say, Andre, and I think it's more and more we are proving it to be the case is that men always respond to the pecking order and to the ranking.
Always. They do.
Always, like I mean, on the women's side, who did we see show up in the finals? Number 1 and number 20.
Mhm.
Okay, who did we see show up in
Right.
the French Open? Number 1 and number Safarova was 17 or somewhere around there.
Yeah, there's
In
always
the
at least
Australian
one
Open.
person that tries.
Exactly. In the Australian Open, it was a mess too. Unseeded Madison Keys, I think it was, got to the semifinal and give Serena a tussle. And everybody has a chance. So with the men, they just they at that moment and they just lay down and die. Just like
I
what?
mean, because we could have had a final with the number 2 versus the number 14. If Kevin
Right.
Anderson had thought to myself, this is my chance. I don't know how deep I'm ever going to get into a slam again. Oh no, I'm just going to be happy with being 4th round.
You know what I mean? Like, and the write-up.
There was no
And the
other way
write-up.
to
They
describe
always
that.
love the write-up
It's
because they
pathetic.
can't wait to go and get on Twitter and talk about how they nearly beat someone. And that pisses me off so much.
And they're happy. They're happy to compete. They're happy to
Exactly.
compete and give it the best, but that's the reason why Novak is number 1.
Yeah.
Do we need to respond to anyone who challenged us on our last podcast about
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I mean, I just
Oh
want to
yeah.
say that, first of all, folks out here, I don't know if you all read the about page for Reels Tennis Fan, but you should. And I think it would help you explain, understand, put a lot of things in perspective. I just have to say, before I go in further, I have to give a shout out to a particular fan. And Deborah, congratulations on your award. I should have done this weeks ago, but you know what? You're a faithful listener, and I give shout outs to, faithful listeners. And there are a lot of other faithful people out there, and I should give you shout outs. But, people, this is tennis. And this is Twitter as well. Twitter is not the place for therapy. It's not the place for crazy tantrums. And it's certainly not the place for crazy offensive language, people. It's tennis. Don't take it so seriously. The best thing about tennis is that, after we done carry on about the Wimbledon, we got so many other tournaments and the US Open to behave the same way again for. So there's no reason your faves are going to show up again. And everyone is going to forget the fact that Nole won Wimbledon and hungry and fight for the fact that Nole should win another slam. People, you know what I mean? No one ever says, well, Nole already won 2 already for the year, so he shouldn't win another one. No one ever says that. We never say that for a fave. We act as if it's their very first championship and they need it. They need
And
it for life.
everyone's going to do the same thing with Serena. Everyone's going to
Exactly.
forget she's won Wimbledon and be like, will she finally win the US Open and career slam? Yes.
You know what I mean?
Probably likely.
And a lot of these people who people are caring about, they're not poor. They're not struggling for life or money. They're good. So you don't need to set up. Unless some of you are going to tell me that you are like getting a royalty check for acting this way, in behavior. I don't get it. There's no reason for you to care. You don't need to be offensive. You can be rude, you can be funny, but you shouldn't be offensive. No one is gonna listen to you or take you seriously if you use the word coon. Ever, never.
Never.
Okay? Once you start
Never.
calling someone a coon, you're just no one's gonna take you seriously, no matter what you say before or after.
You've already lost the argument.
You
Yeah.
already lost the argument, and you cannot get on any intellectual superior higher ground. You just can't. It's just like
Plus, we
like
really don't care.
Oh
you
my
know.
God.
Well, that's too.
Well,
But I really, but one of the things I started this podcast and I started Real Tennis Fans, the blog about, is to get, really interactive and to get sober-minded people to sing. And you can back your favorites because, we all have our favorites. There's no use denying it. But we should be fair and we should give Jack the jacket. I know some of you people think that we be beyond fair to Nole, and I don't think we are. I know people get around Gina and say she think he's a Serbian devil, but I mean, it's
that's
not
just
that
part
serious.
of our personality.
That's just
It's
part
just
of
what it
persona.
is.
It's just
It
what it
doesn't
is.
take away from the fact that he won the title, and nothing will ever take away from the fact
Exactly.
that you collect the check and you collect the trophy.
And some of you people need to understand that you don't need, if you love someone or love something, you don't need affirmation.
Yes,
You
really.
can't always come on this podcast and expect to hear things that you would always love and like. I hope you always come and think we're funny and that you have a good time and that you're laughing. But to think you're gonna come here and always think we're gonna support your player, whoever it is, or that we're gonna hate the players that you
This
hate,
is not the podcast
this is
for
not
that.
the podcast for you. And I
Ain't
don't
nobody
think
got time for that.
and I don't think there's any podcast out there for you like that unless you create your own.
And
You know-
I want to establish from the beginning right now, when we say, and this is something that you probably need to think about, when I say Novak Djokovic is not great, I am simply, I hasn't done anything different. What I'm telling you is that Novak has not transformed the game in any way, shape, or form that Andre Agassi didn't do. He has simply perfected things that have come before him. Is he advertising himself in a different way? Is he elevating the game in a certain way? Is he transcending the game? No, I don't think so. He is coming out of the same ilk that Federer and Rafa Nadal started. I think there might be the possibility of something grander happening in the long term. I don't know, maybe, but most likely not, because he's still a part of this era. That's what I mean when I say I don't think that Novak Djokovic has done anything that is distinct from what the others have done prior to him. That's clear. That is very clear to me objectively. Yes, he might win a bunch of titles, and in the end, he might end up surpassing all of them with their numbers, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he brought anything new or different to this to the game. That's my contention, and that's why I don't put him there as yet. I don't think he's done anything. I think actually, sadly for him, he's in a transition person. I think the younger men that are going to come up, I think they have the ability to transform the game in a way that Novak probably won't, because people did it before him. That's my sense of it. Just like when the Williams sisters came into the game was markedly different after they entered the game. Am I right or am I right, people?
Yes,
I
you're
agree.
right.
I think it was started. There was signs of it before.
It was coming, but
It was coming, but they
they
took it to
ushered
a
it
whole
in.
different level,
The
and they also
whole-
ushered in unorthodox shots, quote
yes,
unquote,
the
which
whole
became
different level.
and just attitude, not just attitude. I mean to say, just strategy. Like no one was stepping in on the second serve. No one was making a huge step. Now I see Anna Ivanovic marking a line and saying, "I'm standing here, bitch. Throw
No,
that ball
nobody
second
was
serve."
nobody was serving the way how the Williams
Exactly.
sisters were serving.
Exactly.
Nobody was returning serve the way the Williams sisters were
That-
returning
And
serve.
these are the children of the Williams sisters type of tennis. These are the children of it. And Novak Djokovic, on some level, is at the tail end of the game that Federer and Nadal introduced to the tour and the heights they brought it to. So that's all I'm saying.
And he has been a different, and he has made a huge change in his game.
To
Because
rival,
Melissa-
to
rival
deal with
them.
them.
Exactly.
Not because he's. That's
Because
what I'm
how
saying.
he started out in 2006 and 7 wasn't working.
And
It wasn't
they
working.
have allowed him to elevate the game. And I think maybe when the people who come behind Djokovic and we'll see what they do with the game, we might be able to talk about the game in a different way because then even the technology is going to be different too. And the
And
tour is going to feel a little different. But you cannot tell me that the person who transformed marketing in tennis, transformed how we think about legends in tennis, all of those things, that's not Novak Djokovic. That's not what he did. He's actually been a wonderful benefactor of the people who've come before him. And he understands that and recognizes it whenever he gets his paychecks. So that's all.
So
and
it's time for all of you to recognize it as well. If he does something in the future that is just astronomically wonderful, you know what? Listen to me. I
We'll
will be
give
the
it.
first one. I will be the first one to give the Serbian devil credit. But as of today, it ain't happened.
Stop
but
anointing someone in the middle of their career. Wait until he gets to the tail end of it before
and
you start
also
saying
folks,
that.
and
Come
also
on.
just so you know, nothing we say will take away the fact that Nole won 9 majors and he makes a lot of money and he's gonna be #1 until the middle of next year. God
until
damn it.
God until
God
until
knows
until
no,
God
ma'am.
comes.
Because
Until God comes. So there you
and
go.
if you followed my blog, I do call Nole Juggernaut.
Yes,
I
he's
do
on a
call him
juggernaut.
Juggernaut. He's
And
on a
and
Juggernaut spree.
and the wonderful thing about Nole is that he has a goal in front of him. You know what? You know whose goal he has in front of him? Rafa Nadal and Roger Federer. That tells you that's his goal. His goal is to meet that. So until he meets those things and surpasses it, we can't talk about him in the same way. He's still on that journey. Do you know what Serena is doing? She's the one out in front, leading. All right?
And
That's the
chasing
difference there.
people. She's chasing Steffi Graf. She's chasing
She's not
Navratilova.
chasing anyone in her generation,
She's not
okay?
chasing anyone in our generation. Matter of fact, she has lapped her. As a matter of fact, at 21, imagine this: at 21 majors, Serena has 3 times that of the next rival, her next closest
Exactly.
person, which is Venus, her sister, at 7.
That's
And the
what it
last time
means.
Venus won a major was 2008.
Chew on that,
So
folks.
that's what it means to lead your generation, to be transforming it. Is that you're actually creating paths in front of you. You're not looking behind you and
And
watching how far.
exactly. And folks, since y'all are seemingly have a lot of things on your mind and you have a lot of time to write, and we appreciate that and want to write,
Love it.
I want to ask you to think. I really love it and appreciate it. And on the final going away, I don't have a bomb. I have a little grenade. Not a bomb. You know, so and the result. This is something we've spoken about here, particularly on in the French Open when Serena won. We talked about the negative
Yeah.
reaction, like the racism and like the gender issues. I mean, when J.K. Rowling has to step in and pull out her elder wand to try to fuck up to check a motherfucker,
Yeah.
it's gone. Like it's insane. And
It's
when
gone too
Serena
far.
won, well, it's not gone too far. I mean, like people feeling that it's okay to say it now. And
Yeah.
I think that's my question for this week is that why it is so easy, so free, and for people to go out and make comments about Serena, perhaps on drugs. I'm looking at you, Maria Sharapova's agent. That was such a loaf. I mean, like
Max
I thought, you know what?
Eisenberg.
You are the bitter bitch. You have just beaten Marie. You have just taken away Martina Navratilova
And the
crown. You are
former
the
and
bitter bitch.
former Bush speechwriter David Frum.
David from, yep.
Right.
Oh man,
Who
did
is
he
the
ever get busted?
I mean, like, and to think he's a editor for Atlantic.
Yes.
I'm surprised Tanashi Coates hasn't fucked him over, but you know what? Tanashi needs a paycheck, so I'm not gonna be mad. But we are so free and easy to say this, and it is acceptable. When I say it is acceptable, they're not losing their jobs. They just say it quite easily. But interestingly enough, Serena is no more dominant in her game than Nole is. I mean, here we are
Mhm.
just sitting here and talking about the fact that Nole is going to be #1 for the foreseeable future. I mean, and legitimately, if Roger Federer can't make a dent in Nole game, who has traditionally been Nole's adversary, they're now leveled at 20 games each, 20 matches each. But no one is making any casting any aspersion to Nole. No one's casting any aspersion to Rafa. No one's casting any aspersion to Roger Federer. And my point is that we need to check into why it is. It isn't just, maybe it might have a race gender issue thing, but that kind of shit needs to stop. If we're going to believe that the men are playing fair and that they're doing well for their own effort, we need to say the same thing for the women. It's the same shit because they're playing the same goddamn sport. So I need you Twitter warriors out there and you block bandits who are just getting in our case to to focus on some. Those are the issues that Real Tennis Fan is trying to address. You know, trying to stop the inequality and the crazy shit that go on because we're just trying to love and enjoy the sport, folks. So this is 18.5 podcast 18.5. Just to round off, I hope we appease all of the folks who felt that we were on a bitter bitch patrol. Yeah. I mean, like, people apologizing now, but you know what? Federer has a special place in our heart, and it isn't easy seeing him getting dismantled. I mean, I feel for you Sharapova fans. I could just imagine. I'm not used to this kind of thing. I'm not used to this, okay? This is new territory for me, Federer usually loses, 5 sets, in these big moments. He don't usually go down in a flat. You know what? I'm going to tell you something honestly. I was so afraid of Nole yesterday after I saw Federer went up 4-2 and got broken immediately. I was like, Federer's going to be done at 11 o'clock. It's going to be 11 o'clock and Federer's going to be going home. I can't deal. So I was just praying. Federer 2 hours. 2 hours, motherfucker. You gotta be out here for 2 hours, So now a little hack secret, people. So their fans should feel happy, Y'all beat up my old man. You beat up my old man.
Deal with a loss.
You know?
You
and
you rail to the heavens above. But at the end of the day, you come back and you say, "Fuck it, it's just tennis."
It's just tennis.
Exactly.
It's just tennis.
Yeah, we'll be
I know
fine.
the fans. I'm just gonna let y'all know that y'all need to. I don't know what's going on, but y'all need to check newspapers because they're not giving y'all boy love. We're not the ones who's giving him some love. But
Right?
I'm telling you.
At least we mentioned
the
him.
hawk?
At least we mentioned him.
Motherfucker didn't
the
even
hawk?
make the first front page.
Papers.
I mean, I don't understand this. I mean,
I understand it. All y'all need to start listening to me when I tell you this motherfucker's a Serbian devil. Nobody wants him on their front page.
No, don't say that. Twitter folks, you need to get him trending, okay? Because there's no way why Rufus the Hawk should be
He
trending
doesn't have a
over
big
Nole.
enough fan base.
It's all right. You know what? You know who's helping him trend? The black woman. So Serena.
Serena.
Give it up for Serena, boy. Dance with you.
Serena. I mean, I didn't like that dance. They could have done better,
She's making you look good, and guess what? She actually made you look good in the numbers. Hey, no,
Exactly.
Federer made you look good in the numbers.
Actually, yeah. Sorry. Everybody tuned in to watch the final for the first time.
So thank you folks for listening. I hope you all enjoyed it. We love your comments anyway, no matter that. Just don't be offensive. It's really disgusting. And
Yeah.
you can tell us improvement, just and please people, I forget, I think it was Andrew. Shout out to Andrew. I am not the voice of reason here. I'm telling you. Oh, no.
Don't play the gender card, honey. Don't play the gender card.
It's so not me. It's not me. I am not the voice of reason. Trust me.
One final thought.
Okay, Karen.
If you continue out in social media to ply us with offensive stuff, we will slow you.
Thank you very much. I was about to say that. Block. Okay.
All right, I gotta go.
Thank you very much. Enjoy. Good night, everyone. Good night.